The fast food industry has always thrived on calculated risks and bold innovations. Chains that dominated for decades understood a fundamental truth about American consumers. We crave consistency, value, and experiences that feel genuine. But 2025 has become a year of reckoning for several major brands that mistook corporate efficiency for customer satisfaction. These aren't small missteps or minor operational hiccups. These are strategic decisions that reveal a troubling disconnect between boardroom thinking and real-world consumer behavior. When established chains abandon the principles that built their success, the consequences ripple through every aspect of their operations. Today, we're examining 5 fast food giants whose 2025 decisions have created problems they'll be dealing with for years to come. These brands made choices that seemed logical on paper, but ignored the emotional connections that drive customer loyalty in an increasingly competitive marketplace. Number 5. Wendy's. The announcement seemed revolutionary when corporate executives unveiled their dynamic pricing strategy in early 2025. Marketing materials promised a sophisticated system that would optimize costs and improve customer experiences through technology-driven pricing models. The concept borrowed heavily from successful implementations in rideshare services and airline industries, where demand-based pricing had generated substantial revenue improvements. Internal presentations highlighted potential profit increases while emphasizing how the system would reward customers who visited during off-peak hours with lower prices. The reality proved far more complicated than corporate projections suggested. Customers immediately recognized dynamic pricing for what it actually represented: surge pricing applied to hamburgers and French fries. Social media exploded with complaints from loyal patrons who discovered their usual lunch orders cost significantly more during busy periods. The backlash wasn't just about money. It was about trust and the perception that Wendy's was taking advantage of customer hunger and convenience needs. Regular customers began sharing screenshots of wildly fluctuating prices for identical orders placed just hours apart. A Dave's single combo that cost $8 at 2 in the afternoon suddenly jumped to $12 during the dinner rush. French fries that were reasonably priced during slow periods became premium items when demand increased. The psychological impact proved more damaging than the actual cost differences. Franchise operators found themselves caught between corporate mandates and angry customers. Store managers reported constant complaints from patrons who felt deceived by pricing that changed without warning. Drive-thru workers faced hostile customers who accused them of overcharging, creating workplace tension that affected service quality and employee retention. The training materials provided by corporate headquarters focused on explaining the system's benefits rather than addressing customer concerns about fairness and transparency. The mobile app, designed to showcase dynamic pricing advantages, became a source of additional frustration. Customers reported prices changing between adding items to their cart and completing checkout. Technical glitches caused the system to display incorrect pricing information, leading to disputes at pickup windows and negative reviews across digital platforms. The app's user interface, optimized for displaying variable pricing, became confusing for customers accustomed to straightforward menu structures. Marketing campaigns attempting to position dynamic pricing as a customer benefit fell flat with audiences who saw through corporate messaging. Advertisements emphasizing off-peak savings ignored the reality that most customers needed food during traditional mealtimes. The promise of lower prices during slow periods felt meaningless to working families who couldn't adjust their schedules around restaurant pricing algorithms. Competitive responses amplified Wendy's problems. Rival chains quickly positioned themselves as offering transparent, consistent pricing, while Wendy's struggled with public relations damage. McDonald's and Burger King launched campaigns subtly emphasizing their stable pricing structures. Local restaurants began advertising fixed prices as a selling point against larger chains experimenting with surge pricing models. The financial results told a concerning story. While dynamic pricing generated short-term revenue increases during peak periods, overall customer traffic declined as price-sensitive consumers chose competitors with predictable costs. The increased revenue per transaction couldn't offset the loss of repeat customers, who felt alienated by pricing strategies that seemed designed to extract maximum profit rather than provide fair value. Employee morale suffered as frontline workers bore the brunt of customer frustration. Restaurant staff reported dreading busy periods, not because of increased workload, but because of constant conflicts over pricing. Training programs had to be expanded to help employees handle pricing complaints, adding operational costs that eroded the financial benefits dynamic pricing was supposed to provide. Number 4, Chipotle. The brand built its empire on a simple but powerful promise: food with integrity. Fresh ingredients, responsible sourcing, and generous portions justified premium pricing, while creating emotional connections with customers who believed they were supporting ethical business practices. For years, Chipotle successfully positioned itself above traditional fast food by emphasizing quality over convenience and transparency over profit maximization. The cracks began showing when portion sizes started shrinking without corresponding price reductions. Regular customers immediately noticed when their favorite bowls arrived noticeably smaller, despite paying the same or higher prices. The generous scoops of rice, beans, and protein that once overflowed containers were replaced by carefully measured portions that left customers feeling unsatisfied and overcharged. The changes weren't subtle enough to escape customer attention. Social media filled with comparison photos showing current portions alongside images from previous years. The difference was stark and undeniable. Protein portions that once provided substantial value now seemed stingy and calculated. Rice and bean servings that previously required careful container management now fit easily with room to spare. Menu price increases implemented throughout 2025 compounded the portion control problems. A basic bowl that cost $9 in 2024 jumped to over $12 in many markets, representing increases far beyond general inflation rates. Premium proteins like steak and carnitas saw even more dramatic price hikes, pushing complete meals into casual dining price ranges without corresponding improvements in quality or quantity. The integrity messaging that once differentiated Chipotle began feeling hollow as operational decisions prioritized profit margins over customer satisfaction. Marketing campaigns continued emphasizing fresh ingredients and responsible sourcing, while actual restaurant experiences failed to deliver the value propositions those messages promised. Customers who once felt good about supporting Chipotle's mission began questioning whether their loyalty was being rewarded or exploited. Quality control issues emerged as cost-cutting measures affected ingredient sourcing and preparation standards. Vegetables that once arrived fresh and vibrant now seemed wilted or past peak condition. Rice that was previously fluffy and properly seasoned became inconsistent in texture and flavor. Even basic components like tortillas seemed thinner and less substantial than previous versions. The customization that made Chipotle special became a source of frustration, as portion control policies restricted how much of each ingredient employees could provide. Customers requesting extra rice or beans faced resistance from workers following corporate guidelines about serving sizes. The flexibility that once made each visit feel personalized was replaced by rigid procedures that prioritized consistency over customer preferences. Digital ordering revealed additional problems as online portions seemed even smaller than in-person orders. Customers who paid premium prices for delivery convenience discovered their meals arrived significantly smaller than expected. The disconnect between digital marketing images and actual product delivery created credibility gaps that affected customer trust and repeat business rates. Employee training programs shifted focus from customer satisfaction to portion control compliance, creating workplace environments where staff worried more about following serving size guidelines than creating positive customer experiences. The generous spirit that once defined Chipotle interactions was replaced by measured precision that felt corporate and impersonal. The competitive landscape evolved while Chipotle struggled with internal operational changes. Regional fast casual chains began offering similar menu concepts with better value propositions and more generous portions. Traditional fast food competitors improved their fresh ingredient offerings while maintaining accessible pricing that highlighted Chipotle's premium positioning problems. Corporate executives defended the changes by pointing to rising ingredient costs and supply chain pressures, but customers weren't buying those explanations when competitors offered better value at lower prices. The brand loyalty that took decades to build began eroding as regular patrons discovered they could get more food for less money elsewhere. Number 3. Burger King. The endless parade of limited-time menu items and constant rebranding efforts throughout 2025 created a perfect storm of operational chaos and customer confusion. What started as aggressive attempts to generate buzz and drive traffic evolved into a systematic destruction of brand coherence that left franchise operators struggling and customers increasingly frustrated with inconsistent experiences. The limited time offer strategy reached absurd levels of complexity as corporate headquarters pushed new menu items every few weeks. Restaurants that once maintained streamlined operations found themselves constantly training staff on preparation methods for products that would disappear before employees became proficient. The Halloween Whopper gave way to the Holiday Spice Chicken Sandwich, which was quickly replaced by the New Year's Resolution Veggie Burger, creating a revolving door of menu items that never had time to develop customer followings. Franchise owners bore the brunt of these decisions as they invested in specialized ingredients and equipment for products with predetermined expiration dates. Storage space became a critical issue as restaurants struggled to accommodate inventory for regular menu items, alongside temporary offerings that required unique components. The financial burden of constant menu changes fell heaviest on individual operators who had to absorb costs for ingredients that often spoiled before limited-time promotions ended. Kitchen operations became increasingly chaotic as staff attempted to manage preparation procedures for multiple simultaneous limited-time offers. Training materials arrived late or contained errors that led to inconsistent product execution. Employees reported feeling overwhelmed by constantly changing procedures while trying to maintain quality standards for core menu items that customers still expected to receive properly prepared. The rebranding initiatives proved even more problematic than menu complications. Corporate designers unveiled new logo concepts, color schemes, and restaurant layouts that required significant investment from franchise operators without clear evidence that changes would improve customer traffic or satisfaction. The iconic King mascot was redesigned multiple times throughout the year, creating marketing campaigns that confused rather than clarified brand identity. Restaurant renovation requirements placed enormous financial pressure on franchise operators who were already struggling with thin profit margins and increased operational costs. New interior design standards mandated expensive updates to seating areas, counter configurations, and digital menu displays. Many operators found themselves choosing between compliance with corporate aesthetic requirements and maintaining basic operational functionality. The mobile app became another source of frustration as constant updates attempted to showcase new menu items and promotional offers. Technical problems increased with each iteration as developers struggled to accommodate rapidly changing menu structures and pricing schemes. Customers reported ordering items that were no longer available or discovering that advertised promotions had expired without notification. Marketing messages became increasingly disjointed as campaigns tried to promote multiple limited-time offers simultaneously while maintaining focus on core menu items. Television advertisements that should have created cohesive brand messaging instead delivered confusing arrays of product information that overwhelmed rather than enticed potential customers. Social media accounts posted constantly about new offerings without building sustained interest in any particular item. Quality control suffered as restaurants prioritized speed of implementation over proper preparation techniques. New menu items arrived at locations without adequate testing or refinement, leading to customer complaints about taste, temperature, and presentation. The rush to launch limited-time offers meant that many products reached consumers before recipes had been perfected or cooking procedures optimized. Customer loyalty programs became virtually meaningless as points and rewards struggled to keep pace with constantly changing menu structures. Regular customers found that their preferred items disappeared without warning, while new offerings failed to provide equivalent satisfaction. The predictability that once made Burger King a reliable choice was replaced by uncertainty about what would be available during any particular visit. Number 2. McDonald's. The Golden Arches have weathered countless storms throughout their decades of dominance, but 2025 marked a year when the world's largest burger chain made decisions that challenged the fundamental relationship with the working families who built their empire. Price increases that pushed basic meals beyond the reach of budget-conscious consumers coincided with digital-only promotional strategies that excluded customers who couldn't or wouldn't navigate smartphone apps. The most jarring change came in the form of aggressive menu pricing that seemed disconnected from the economic realities facing McDonald's core customer base. A Big Mac meal that provided affordable satisfaction for generations suddenly cost more than $15 in many markets. Value meal combinations that once represented genuine bargains became premium-priced options that competed directly with casual dining alternatives, offering superior ingredients and dining experiences. The psychological impact of crossing pricing thresholds proved more damaging than corporate analysts anticipated. McDonald's had always occupied a specific position in consumer minds as the affordable option for quick meals. When prices climbed beyond psychological comfort zones, customers began questioning not just individual purchase decisions, but their entire relationship with the brand. Digital-only promotional strategies created a two-tiered customer experience that alienated significant portions of McDonald's traditional audience. The most attractive deals became accessible only through mobile app downloads and account creation processes that proved barriers for older customers, those with limited smartphone access, and privacy-conscious individuals who preferred cash transactions. The app-exclusive promotions weren't just minor discounts on specialty items. They included substantial savings on core menu combinations that had previously been available to all customers. Buy one, get one offers, discounted combo meals, and free item promotions became digital privileges rather than universal opportunities, creating resentment among customers who felt excluded from fair pricing. Restaurant employees found themselves explaining pricing disparities to confused and frustrated customers who discovered their orders cost significantly more than advertised deals they couldn't access. Drive-through interactions became tense as workers tried to convince customers to download apps while lines backed up behind them. The simple transaction that once defined McDonald's efficiency was replaced by complicated conversations about digital requirements and alternative pricing structures. Franchise operators reported declining customer satisfaction scores as patrons who had visited McDonald's for decades suddenly felt unwelcome or unable to access the same value they had previously enjoyed. The brand that once prided itself on universal accessibility was creating barriers that seemed designed to exclude rather than include. The breakfast segment, traditionally a reliable profit center, became particularly problematic as morning customers discovered their usual orders had become prohibitively expensive. Working professionals who relied on McDonald's for affordable morning meals began seeking alternatives that offered better value without requiring digital engagement. The convenience that once made McDonald's the obvious choice for busy mornings was compromised by pricing structures that demanded careful consideration rather than automatic selection. Drive-through operations, crucial to McDonald's business model, slowed significantly as customers attempted to understand complex pricing options or argued with employees about promotional availability. The speed of service that defined McDonald's competitive advantage suffered as simple transactions became negotiations about app downloads and account creation. International comparisons highlighted how dramatically American pricing had diverged from global standards. McDonald's locations in other countries continued offering value-oriented menu options, while American restaurants pushed prices toward premium territory without corresponding improvements in food quality or service standards. The competitive response was swift and devastating. Regional burger chains began positioning themselves as the new value leaders, while traditional competitors emphasized their consistent pricing structures. Fast casual alternatives that once seemed expensive suddenly appeared reasonable compared to McDonald's inflated pricing. Corporate communication about these changes emphasized operational improvements and digital innovation benefits, while customers experienced frustration and financial strain. Press releases touted technological advances and customer convenience enhancements that felt disconnected from actual restaurant experiences. Number 1. Starbucks. The coffee giant that revolutionized American cafe culture by creating third spaces between home and work made perhaps the most tone-deaf decision of 2025, prioritizing automation over human connection. The rollout of automated stores and dramatic reductions in barista hours represented a fundamental misunderstanding of what made Starbucks successful in the first place. The automated locations stripped away everything that differentiated Starbucks from vending machines and convenience store coffee. Customers who once enjoyed brief conversations with knowledgeable baristas found themselves interacting with touchscreens and pickup lockers. The personalized service that made premium pricing feel justified was replaced by sterile efficiency that provided no emotional value beyond caffeine delivery. Existing locations that reduced barista hours created chaotic environments where understaffed teams struggled to maintain service standards during peak periods. The carefully crafted drinks that justified Starbucks pricing became inconsistent as overwhelmed employees rushed through complex orders without proper attention to detail. Wait times increased dramatically as fewer workers attempted to handle unchanged customer volumes. The mobile ordering system designed to complement reduced staffing created additional operational problems. Customers arrived to find their orders delayed or incorrectly prepared by baristas who didn't have time to read detailed customization requests. The convenience that mobile ordering promised was undermined by execution failures that stemmed directly from inadequate staffing decisions. Regular customers began noticing that their favorite baristas had disappeared as corporate cost-cutting eliminated positions and reduced hours for remaining employees. The relationships that made Starbucks feel like a community gathering place were severed as familiar faces vanished and rushed interactions replaced meaningful connections. The third space concept that defined Starbucks' identity became meaningless in automated locations where no human interaction occurred. Customers who once lingered over drinks in welcoming environments found themselves in sterile spaces that encouraged quick transactions rather than comfortable stays. The ambiance that justified premium pricing for basic beverages was replaced by corporate efficiency that felt cold and unwelcoming. Quality control suffered as reduced staffing meant less attention to drink preparation standards. Espresso shots that once received careful timing and temperature monitoring were rushed through automated processes that prioritized speed over flavor development. Milk steaming that previously required skill and attention became mechanized operations that produced consistent mediocrity rather than occasional excellence. The seasonal menu items that once generated excitement became sources of frustration as undertrained or overwhelmed staff struggled to execute complex recipes properly. Limited-time beverages that should have driven traffic instead generated complaints about inconsistent preparation and long wait times. Customer loyalty programs lost meaning as the personalized service that once made rewards feel special was replaced by impersonal transactions. The baristas who remembered regular customers' orders and preferences were gone, leaving loyalty benefits feeling hollow and transactional rather than relationship-based. Competitive pressure intensified as local coffee shops emphasized their human connections and personalized service in contrast to Starbucks' automated approach. Independent cafes began attracting former Starbucks customers who sought the community atmosphere that the corporate giant had abandoned in pursuit of operational efficiency. The morning rush, traditionally Starbucks' strongest performance period, became chaotic as reduced staffing couldn't handle peak demand volumes. Customers who relied on Starbucks for consistent morning routines found themselves facing unpredictable wait times and service quality that varied dramatically between visits. Employee morale plummeted as remaining baristas faced increased workloads without corresponding compensation increases. The job satisfaction that once made Starbucks an attractive employer was replaced by stress and burnout as workers struggled to maintain impossible service standards with inadequate support. Corporate messaging about innovation and efficiency improvements rang hollow for customers experiencing declining service quality and reduced human interaction. Marketing campaigns emphasizing technological advancement ignored the fundamental reality that Starbucks' success had always depended on creating emotional connections rather than optimizing operational metrics. The international expansion strategies suffered as automated store concepts failed to translate cultural expectations about cafe experiences in markets where human interaction remained highly valued. Global customers who associated Starbucks with American hospitality and service excellence found automated locations disappointing and culturally tone-deaf. These 5 chains represent more than businesses struggling with economic pressure. They illustrate how quickly iconic brands can destroy decades of trust through short-sighted decisions. Each sacrificed customer loyalty for short-term financial gains, proving that operational efficiency and profit margins mean nothing when value and connection disappear. Wendy's alienated diners with surge pricing. Chipotle shrank portions while raising prices. Burger King's constant rebrands confused customers. McDonald's priced out working families behind digital paywalls. Starbucks stripped away the personal touch that once justified its premium. In chasing quarterly earnings, these companies forgot the principles that built their empires: affordability, consistency, and genuine service. The result is a fractured relationship with the very people who made them successful. Franchisees face uncertainty, employees lose pride, and customers feel betrayed. The fast food landscape is being rewritten by brands that treat people like profit metrics. Whether these five recover depends on whether they remember who they're supposed to serve.